Now to my exclusive conversation with retired four-star General David Petraeus. If you remember, he served as the director of the CIA for President Obama and led the Iraq War as commander of Central Command for President Bush. We spoke with him right before that ceasefire was announced. Your overall reaction in terms of where we're at right now with Iran?
In a very advantageous position. The Israeli operations have been nothing short of spectacular, and the U.S. operation was very, very impressive as well. Iran has no air and ballistic missile defense left, essentially, other than some heavy machine guns, which you can stay out of the range of. It has lost probably 24 of its most important nuclear scientists, probably an equal number now of leaders of the military, the Revolutionary Guards Corps, the Quds Force, other regime elements. Every one of its nuclear facilities that we know about has been at least severely damaged, if not destroyed. So again, a very, very good position at this point. Certainly some questions that remain to be answered. Will there be additional Iranian responses? They had the rather performative, or as the White House put it, theatrical response today, telegraphed in advance so Qatar could actually close its airspace and the air defense anti-ballistic missile defense units could be on high alert. All of those were apparently shot down. But beyond that, have we actually, together, Israel and the United States, destroyed all of the highly enriched uranium stockpiles? And have we destroyed all of the centrifuges? And I think that is an open question.
What's the purpose of launching airstrikes and then warning people that they're coming?
Well, this is a regime that rules on fear, and such a regime has to defend its honor. It has to respond in kind, is the way they put it. It can be fed to the Iranian people, at least, who don't have full access to news in all cases by any means, as Iran, again, retaliating in kind.
If that's it, and they don't do anything else, is this just a huge victory for the United States?
Well, far too soon to declare victory. And we've learned, I think,
we've learned that mistake.
We've learned a bit about that.
Yes.
But clearly, the U.S. is in a very, very strong position. Another big question that we should note is what is the status of the missile math, if you will? How many more missile launchers and missiles does Iran have left, and how many more missile interceptors does Israel have left? And that obviously is not something that is a trivial issue. In fact, it was on my watch as Central Command Commander, September 2009, that the Fordo deeply buried enrichment site was declared to the world by the IAEA, and that we developed the plan to destroy the entire nuclear program at that time and take down all of its air and ballistic missile defenses and its retaliatory means. What we saw the other night was a modest subset of that overall plan, although a very effective one and a very substantial one when you consider 7 B-2 bombers preceded by stealth fighters and fifth-generation F-35s and so forth.
So you're saying this is something that you've been thinking about and talking about potentially doing since you were in charge in 2009. Are you grateful that President Trump did it? Do you think this was a good call?
I think it was a very good call. I think the way they did it as well actually achieved deception, as did the Israelis in their launching their attack on day 61, and right after the IAEA, for the first time ever, actually condemned Iran over what it was doing, saying that there is no possible use for uranium enriched to over 60%. The next turn of enrichment would take it to weapons grade. So yeah, no, we actually rehearsed this plan. This is all publicly known. Back when we thought that there might not be a successful negotiation at that time, the Obama administration, in that we might actually have to carry out this operation. It's very, very substantial. Again, much bigger than what was actually done, and that involved 125 aircraft. We did it in the continental United States. Needless to say, the B-2 bombers had to fly many, many laps to replicate the distances from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri all the way out to the Gulf and then to wherever they were going to recover. We dropped the ordnance We validated that it could achieve what it was that we needed it to achieve. In some cases, for some of the targets, you didn't use the MOP, you used something else, and you pile drived your way down into the mission spaces and so forth. So we were ready. One time, we literally set the theater. In other words, we had all the bed down, as it's put, all the munitions, all the food, fuel, water, et cetera, all in place. And all we needed to do is fly it all out to the theater.
President Obama didn't make the call to do this because he was trying to make the Iran nuclear deal happen. Is that what happened?
Well, he actually got the deal
Right.
eventually, of course. And you can argue, with a couple of very significant exceptions, that was really a very good deal.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I'm really, really proud of our men and women in uniform to see what they carried out, especially having been one of those who was a developer of the plan, part of which they executed so impressively.
Amen to that. General Petraeus says if Iran doesn't cooperate here, they could continue to be militarily crippled by Israel to a point where they'd be so weak internally that regime change could come from within the country. That's part of the reason he feels like they are likely to keep this deal. Our thanks to General Petraeus.